Roll. 3 whiskey, take 1.
Market.
Action. The idea for Backyard Ashes came over about a 5-year period. So I think in 2001, Coxie was walking around the lake with a mate of his, and they came up with this sort of general idea about, Australia versus England, and a cat and the death of a cat and its ashes. And it sort of stuck on a bit of a napkin sketch idea for almost the better part of a decade. And then when I went to NIDA in 2008, I just said, why don't we write that screenplay? But the general idea started over the better part of a decade ago.
I think the most important decision Mark and myself made when doing the film was doing it in Wagga. I don't think we could have made it anywhere else. We wouldn't have got the support in anywhere else, I'm sure. And that's where it belonged. It came from Wagga as the writers, and I think because of that, filming it there was essential.
Once we'd written the script, we spent probably the better part of 2009 refining the draft. That's when we brought on Anne Robinson to help out with producing. Very difficult to get a film up, an independent film, let alone a first-time writer-director team at all. So we struggled with that process trying to get funding, and it was the GFC, so there wasn't a lot of money to go around. So the film kind of had exciting periods in 2009 and then sort of fell away.
About 3 years ago, Mark and Coxie actually came to me, called me up, I don't even know how they got my name, and asked me if I'd produce this film for them. And they'd had no track record, no films, they'd not done any short films before or anything, and I kind of went, look, I can't attach myself at the moment, but I read the script and I loved it. And so I said, so if you go and raise some money, give me a call. And about a year and a half later, they came back to me and had raised about 300 grand cash. And we went into production. That's kind of how it happened. But I read the script and I loved it, and they were really clever, and you could see that the film had a lot of potential and it could have been something special.
I've said to everybody I speak to that it's generated this energy, and it just keeps sort of generating it, and you can see it in the way that Wagga got behind the film and how business houses, people, and how much people wanted to be a part of it. I don't know whether it's a mysterious thing or whatever it is, but it just, for me, it had that, seemed to just generate energy all the time. So, and that just happened with the first reading. Was everybody knew straight after that this is something that could work, and in all possibilities will.
I mean, what sort of surprised me was that how many people wanted it, you know what I mean? Like, usually when you're filming in someone's area, they're like, it's $5,000 to put down a cable, it's, you gotta have all these permits, and we don't want your trucks in our street, and whereas the community were like, very positive. And so it got to the point, like, because I walked the set every day and I'd go past these people and then they'd be like, oh, how'd you go today, because I knew we were in town to make the film. And yeah, it was great, and having them all in all the crowd scenes, or have cameos in the film, or all people that Mark and Coxie work with in all their theatre productions. They come in and do great cameos.
We knew we had an amazing community in Wagga. We knew we'd spent our lives creating theatre there and musicals and a variety of different shows. So we were just very honest in our approach. We started with a fundraising concert, so we knew we'd done a lot of shows and we had a lot of performing arts friends, and we said, what if we got all those musos together and all those performers, and we just put on a concert, and we very creatively entitled the Let's Make a Movie concert, and the show was incredible, it rocked. At the end of that concert, we realised we had some startup capital, we had some money to get moving and to actually make this process possible. So we just set about it. We had a couple of meetings. We sort of thought, okay, well, let's start with the locations. Do we have the locations to shoot this film here in Wagga? What do we need? Okay, we need 2 backyards that are next door to each other. All right, that one's a bit tricky. Do we have a factory? Tick. My mum works at the Heinz factory outside of town. We have a pub, the Riverina Hotel. We knew we'd have some streets and some ovals and little sort of, incidental locations. And again, that brought us back around to the idea of this main location. Like, where were we possibly going to find 2 backyards adjacent to each other that had a fence with a gap in the middle, and also having to have a 3-story unit that overlooked them. Coxie and I were sitting in my mum and dad's backyard one day having this exact conversation, thinking, all right, where are we going to shoot it? And then we just looked and we thought, what about here? Like, this is my mum's house. They rent the house behind them, which is my grandparents' house, and they have a fence with a gap in the middle and they share yards. So I went to mum and dad and to my grandma and I just had dinner and said, look, I think I want to shoot a feature film in your backyard. And my mother just said, oh, that's lovely, that'd be so much fun. We should do that, we support you. Little did she know that 12 months later, or less than 12 months later, her house would be run over with hundreds of film crew, cast and actors lounging in her lounge room and kitchen and backyard.
I'm reading. Oh, sorry. So, just like old times. Oh, yeah.
It's basically everything that you would expect. The people of Wagga Wagga are very welcoming, they're very accommodating. They'll rush around and jump to make a project like this work. So it's everything that I would expect from the people of the town. And it was exciting as well because you know so many people that are involved in the project. So it's like a big happy family working together, and there's just nothing negative that happened on the set. It was all very positive, and one of the best experiences of my life. And the fact that we got to do it in our hometown was a bonus.
Once we had the capital in place and we had an amazing cast in place, we knew we'd need to shoot this as well as we possibly could. So we put in a call to Damien Wyville and we sent him the script, and he read the script and loved it.
I've worked with Anne quite a few times before, worked on her first feature, West, and she sent me the script, asked me if I'd like to shoot it, and said it was very low budget. And at first I probably thought, oh, I hope it's not a very good script, so then it's easy to say no because it's low budget. And I read it, couldn't put it down, just thought it was fabulous, just knew it could be a good film.
So once Damo was on board, we knew we were going to have a beautifully shot film. I had Rick Pierce, who I'd met on an ad shoot earlier in the year, and I knew he'd be a great sort of second camera and amazing visual effects artist as well. And then once Damo came on, he started bringing his own team on. So we got Mark Lindemann and Benny Hyde as our grips and gaff, these 2 amazing guys that bring an incredible amount of professionalism to the shoot. And to support them, we knew we had the filmmaking team out at Charles State University, a lot of the students there, 2nd and 3rd years. And we knew we had a lot of recent graduates that had come out of that city as well that would want to get involved and have a chance to work with these amazing filmmakers who'd come off films like The Great Gatsby and Moulin Rouge in Australia and Happy Feet.
Well, certainly, and taking that experience of walking onto the film set and seeing one of the early cuts of the movie, it's very interesting how you get that different perspective potentially on the screen to the movie set. The movie set was actually quite a constricted movie set. It's not a large backyard, and the cuts. It's the first time I've actually seen a movie being made live, and just seeing how you put little bits of action together, how the actors were interacting with each other. That it seemed to be a very, very friendly set and a very well, a set that came together. You couldn't really tell who the locals and who the stars. Yeah, look, it's a pretty complicated process. As I've found out from that site visit, but then just watching how it comes together. As I said, I've been lucky enough to see a preview screening of one of the early cuts of the movie, and pretty excited about the result.
I think we tried to make a very honest underdog Australian film that probably should never have been made. The situation, that the things that fell in place to make this all possible are bigger than Peter and I. And I think that's present in the film. There's a lot of goodwill, there's a lot of heart behind this film. It's just genuine and true. And I think we're incredibly happy with the film that we've made. We've got this quite, humorous, heartfelt, simple little Australian film that we hope people get behind and just enjoy and can share with their family, and then it makes them want to get out there and have a barbecue and play some backyard cricket together. We're not trying to change the world, we're just trying to capture a little bit of Australian life and have a good time doing it.